Okay, we just did this page about solving equations where we had x by itself. We had x in one place. That's nice when you can do that. But sometimes you can't really isolate x. Sometimes you have to deal with zero product property and factoring. And this we've also seen a little bit in this course already. So solving equations where you cannot isolate x, where x appears in two places and you cannot combine them. I'm going to show you another thing on the video after this, another way to do this, but this is the most common way. This is by factoring. So the first step, step number one, set equal to 0. Very, very important, set equal to 0. You cannot do this unless you're set equal to 0. So we're going to move the 7x over. Now, one thing you might look at, you might think, I can just divide by x. I have an x common in both sides. Let me just divide by x. If you do, you're potentially dividing by 0. And in fact, 0 makes this equation true. If you have 0 and 0, both sides will become 0, and your equation is true. So 0 is a solution here. By dividing by x, you kind of lose that solution. Now, if you keep track of it, I know logically you say, oh, well, why just do it that way? It's really bad form, okay? Terrible, terrible form. Don't embarrass me or yourself in Algebra 2 by dividing by x. Please, please, please make sure that you move the 7x over, setting the equation equal to 0, and then factor. So the greatest common factor between these two terms is x. So x times 3x and x times -7 will create our original equation. And now we use zero product property, which says that if this is 0, or if this is 0, then the two things multiplied will be 0. They don't both have to be 0 at the same time. So if we make x equal to 0, or we make 3x minus 7 equal to 0, then we have our solutions. So x, we will move 7 over and divide by 3. So these are our two solutions. X equals 0 or 7/3. Now, just like a little while ago, if we kind of make the corresponding equation out of this, like 3x squared minus 7x equals y, the zeros will be those two, just like in the last video where I explained that in a little more detail. All right, next one. That was pretty easy. We moved everything on one side. We took a greatest common factor and we used zero product property. Next one. Here we have these two x's. We couldn't possibly combine them because they're different powers. We can't take 4 and somehow magically subtract 21 and make some type of x out of it. They're different things. They're not like terms. We can't subtract them. So we're going to move the 18 over here and set this whole equation equal to 0. Then we need to factor. So here's a quadratic to factor. It's not a particularly easy one. Maybe you want to use diamond in the box. Maybe you don't. I already did it, so I'm kind of cheating. I have the answer here in my head. 4x and x and 6 and 3. So 6 and 3 multiplied to 18. 4 and 1 multiplied to 4. 3 and 24 will give us that difference of 21. 3 and 24 will give us that difference of 21. So I'm going to have negative here and positive here. You can see why chapter 8 was so important. Every time we have a quadratic equation, we have to factor to solve it. So now we're going to use zero product property again because we have two things that are being multiplied together. So either this needs to be equal to 0 or this needs to be equal to 0. And then we simply solve both of these equations. So x equals -3/4 or 6. All right, and then we have our answer. All right, and again, this quadratic, if you set this equal to y, this number equal to y, those will be your x-intercepts. All right, so we always have that connection back to the graphing aspect of this. All right, we always have that connection back to the graphing aspect of this.